They told you to be good, to be kind, to be selfless. But no one warned you that being good might be the very thing that's holding you back, from power, from clarity, from yourself. Machiavelli saw it clearly. Goodness without strength is just vulnerability in disguise. Maybe it's time you stopped performing and started thinking. Have you ever been praised for being the nice one? The one who keeps the peace, who doesn't argue, who forgives quickly, gives generously, and rarely says no? Maybe you were raised to think this was goodness. That self-sacrifice was virtue. That keeping people comfortable meant you were morally strong. But let me ask you something you probably haven't dared to ask yourself. What if your niceness isn't kindness? What if it's fear? Because deep down, many good people aren't operating from strength. They're operating from a desperate desire to be accepted, to be safe, to not be abandoned. You say yes when you want to say no. You stay silent when something violates your boundaries. You tolerate disrespect, not because you're noble, but because you're afraid of what might happen if you speak up. You confuse being agreeable with being good, and there's a cost. Niccolò Machiavelli saw this centuries ago. He didn't believe in fairy tale morality. He saw how the world actually worked, and what he realized was simple but brutal. The person who needs to be seen as virtuous is the easiest person to manipulate. Because their goodness isn't rooted in truth, it's performative. It's strategic, but unconsciously so. It's a way to manage how others see them. And when your morality is driven by appearances, you're no longer in control. You start editing your truth just to be palatable. You become a version of yourself that is less threatening, more likable, easier to digest. But in doing so, you disappear. The real you, the one with sharp edges, real emotions, and honest needs, gets buried. Machiavelli didn't reject goodness, he just didn't worship it blindly. He understood that power without conscience is dangerous, but conscience without power is useless. So the next time you find yourself trying to be the better person, stop and ask, is this truly who I am? Or am I just trying to be liked? Because there's nothing virtuous about abandoning yourself. And there's nothing noble about being so good that you let the world walk all over you. And that's where the deception deepens, because if being good doesn't protect you, then what does the world really reward? That's what we need to look at next. If this content is resonating with you, consider subscribing. I make videos that help you see the world and yourself more clearly. You were told that being good leads to success, that if you just work hard, stay kind, stay humble, things will eventually work out. You were told that good things happen to good people, but has that really been your experience? Because look around, the loud rise, the strategic thrive, and those who play the game even dishonestly often win. Meanwhile, you, the honest one, the patient one, the one who does the right thing, keep wondering why your efforts go unnoticed, unrewarded, unseen. It's not because the world is evil. It's because the world is pragmatic. Outcomes matter more than intentions. Image matters more than integrity. And this isn't cynicism, it's clarity. Machiavelli understood this with terrifying honesty. He didn't say you had to be evil. He said if you refuse to understand power, you'll be eaten by it. He argued that leaders, and by extension anyone who wants real influence, must sometimes make decisions that are morally uncomfortable but strategically necessary. You've probably felt this dissonance before. That moment where telling the truth cost you an opportunity. That time you played fair and got taken advantage of. That instance where you watched someone lie, manipulate, or take credit, and still get ahead. It burns, not because they were smarter, but because they weren't shackled by the need to appear good. Machiavelli never praised cruelty. He praised results, and in his view, Appearing virtuous was often more important than actually being virtuous. Why? Because people don't look deeply. They react to signals, symbols, surfaces. If you appear confident, you're trusted. If you appear competent, you're followed. If you appear moral, you're forgiven, even when your actions contradict it. This doesn't mean you should become fake. It means you must stop assuming that goodness alone will save you. It won't. You need discernment. You need power. Because in a world that rewards strength over sincerity, survival demands more than virtue. It demands vision. And that vision becomes clouded when you're constantly suppressing your truth to be seen as good. Because the more you deny your own needs, your own anger, your own boundaries, the more you start to rot from the inside out. And that's where we're headed next. Because trying to be good without limits doesn't make you holy, it makes you hollow. You keep telling yourself you're doing the right thing, that biting your tongue is noble, that sacrificing your needs is love, that staying calm when you're seething inside is a sign of maturity. But here's the part no one warned you about. Being good without boundaries doesn't just make you exhausted, it makes you bitter. And no one talks about that kind of bitterness. The slow burning kind. The one that smiles in public but simmers in private. The one that says, "It's fine," while secretly keeping score. You want to be kind, but you've turned kindness into self-erasure. You want to be patient, but you've used patience as an excuse to tolerate disrespect. You want to be loving, but your love has become a performance, carefully edited, strategically muted, so no one ever feels uncomfortable. But what about you? When was the last time you felt seen, heard, respected? That's what Machiavelli understood with brutal clarity. He didn't admire cruelty. He admired clarity. He respected those who could act with force, not recklessly, but when necessary. Because sometimes telling someone no is more ethical than faking a yes. Sometimes walking away is kinder than staying and building silent resentment. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is protect yourself. Resentment is what grows in the soil of unspoken needs. And over time, it turns you into a person you don't recognize. Someone passive-aggressive, disconnected, emotionally numb. You're still playing the role of the good one, but it's hollow. You're not really giving. You're leaking. And eventually, the world starts to feel like a burden you never asked to carry. But you're not wrong for needing space, for feeling anger, for wanting to be more than just someone else's emotional support system. Boundaries don't make you selfish. They make you sane. And if you don't build them, your goodness becomes a mask, one that hides a quiet desperation. And that's why we need to reframe what strength really looks like. Because it's not silence. It's not smiling through disrespect. Real strength is knowing what you stand for and having the courage to enforce it. That's where we go next. Because you don't have to become cruel, but if you want peace, you do have to become clear. You've been told that kindness and strength can't coexist, that to be good you must be soft, that to be moral you must be passive. But let me ask you, where has that gotten you? How many times have you kept the peace only to be at war with yourself? How many times have you swallowed your truth in the name of being the bigger person, only to feel small and invisible afterward? Machiavelli offered something dangerous, but necessary. He taught that real power isn't in brutality. It's in precision. It's in knowing exactly who you are, what you value, and refusing to betray that, even when the world pressures you to play nice. You don't have to shout. You don't have to punish. But you do have to be clear, because clarity cuts deeper than cruelty ever could. Being clear means you stop performing. You stop apologizing for existing. You stop diluting your truth, just to make others more comfortable. And when you do speak, it's not to convince, it's to affirm. This is who I am. This is what I will allow. This is where I draw the line. That is the language of someone who has stopped needing approval, who no longer bends just to be called good. Machiavelli understood that appearances matter, that people follow what they perceive, not what's real. So yes, appear composed, appear kind, appear stable, but beneath that, carry strategy, carry standards, carry a quiet fire that doesn't need to burn others, but will never let anyone burn you. You don't have to betray your values to protect yourself. You just have to stop handing them out for free. Goodness is not submission. Strength is not cruelty. And clarity, real, grounded clarity, is what makes both possible at once. So now ask yourself, who are you when no one's watching? Who are you when you stop trying to be liked? When you stop trying to be the good one? What would it feel like to show up without the mask? Because maybe the world doesn't need another agreeable face. Maybe what it needs is someone who refuses to be controlled, not by fear, not by guilt, not by the fragile opinions of others. And maybe, just maybe, that someone is finally you.